The display select panels are on the instrument panel above the pilot's display units. Each display select panel has two selectors that permit the pilots to control the displays on the related outboard and inboard DUs, and to control the display on the lower DU. The main panel DU's selector has 5 positions: normal, outboard primary flight display or outboard PFD, inboard engine primary, inboard PFD, and multifunction display or MFD. The lower DU selector has normal, engine primary, and navigation display or ND positions. Normally, all selectors are in the normal position. In normal, the pilot's outboard and inboard display units show primary flight and navigation data, and the upper display unit shows primary engine and fuel data. The lower display is normally blank, or shows secondary engine instruments when the CDS initially receives power, engine failure or shutdown in flight, when selected on the multifunction display or MFD, or when secondary engine limits are exceeded. If a DU fails, automatic display switching makes sure the necessary data are always available to the pilots. If an outboard DU fails, the DU blanks, and the PFD automatically shows on the inboard DU. If an inboard DU fails, the DU blanks. The navigation display or ND does not automatically move to the lower display. If the upper DU fails, the DU blanks and the primary engine display moves to the lower DU. If the secondary engine instruments are being displayed, a compact engine display will be shown. Let's put the display units back to normal and manually control the displays with the selectors. Select Outboard PFD with the Captain's Main Panel DUs selector. The outboard DU will continue to show the PFD display, but the inboard DU will blank. Now select Inboard PFD with the Captain's selector. The inboard DU shows the primary flight display and the outboard DU is blank. To display the navigation display for the Captain, select ND on the Captain's lower DU panel. The navigation display shows on the lower DU. Let's reset the lower display. Select Inboard Engine Primary with the First Officer's Main Panel DUs selector. The upper DU blanks. The engine displays move to the First Officer's inboard DU, and the First Officer's outboard DU shows the primary flight display. If the Captain now selects Engine Primary, the Captain's inboard DU also shows the engine displays, and the primary flight display moves to the outboard DU. Now let's look at the lower DU selector. Select Engine Primary with the First Officer's lower DU selector. The primary engine display shows on the lower DU. Select Normal with the First Officer's lower DU selector. The lower DU blanks. The upper DU does not show the engine displays because the Captain's and First Officer's Main Panel DUs selectors are set to Inboard Engine Primary. Select Normal with the Captain's Main Panel DUs selector. The upper DU remains blank because the first officer's main panel DU's selector is set to inboard engine primary. Select Normal with the first officer's main panel DU's selector. The displays are in their normal configuration. The Multi-Function Display Selector, or MFD, has two switches. The System switch selects aircraft system information on the lower DU, and the Engine switch selects secondary engine information. If either the upper or lower DU fails, compact engine instruments are displayed. Pushing the Engine MFD button again switches between the compact engine instrument display and primary engine instruments display. Now let's reset the displays and use the main panel DU selector to display the MFD functions. Select MFD on the Captain's main panel DU's selector. Now, select the MFD Engine switch. The secondary engine instruments are now displayed on the inboard display. Here's a chance for you to practice with the display select panels. You can select any combination of switches on the panels. Touch the green arrow when ready to continue.